Imagine a world defined by its limits. For 15th century Europe, wealth lay in the the spices and silks of Asia. But the road there was long, perilous, and controlled by rival powers. To change the world, someone had to change the map. Enter Christopher Columbus, born in Genoa, Italy. In 1451, Columbus was a seaman from a young age, sailing the Mediterranean and beyond. He was driven, relentless, and obsessed with one revolutionary idea. The Earth was round, and Asia could be reached by sailing west. This wasn't just optimism. It was radical calculation. Columbus grossly underestimated the circumference of the Earth. He believed Japan was only a short 2,400 miles away from the Canary Islands. The true distance is nearly 5 times that. Because of this flawed math, he spent years crisscrossing Europe, begging for funding. Monarchy after monarchy, Portugal, England, France rejected him. His plan was deemed foolish, too expensive, and potentially suicidal. But Columbus had an iron will. He never gave up, eventually finding an audience with Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand of Spain. Finally, in a desperate gamble to compete with Portugal, they agreed to fund his expedition. The terms were astronomical. Columbus would be named Admiral of the Ocean Sea, governor of any new lands, and would receive a massive cut of all profits. The stage was set for one of the most consequential voyages in history. On August 3, 1492, Columbus set sail with 3 small ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria Letters. They were sailing straight into the great unknown. The crew was filled with fear and superstition. They were venturing farther from land than any European had dared. The journey was brutal. Day after day, week after week, all they saw was water. The crew grew mutinous, fearing they had sailed past the point of no return. Columbus, the relentless leader, had to lie about the distance traveled just to keep morale from completely collapsing. Then, on October 12, 1492, at 2 in the morning, a lookout on the Pinta shouted the words that changed the world forever: Tierra, land. They had reached the Bahamas. Columbus believed he had found the outer islands of Asia, which is why he called the native inhabitants Indios or Indians. The people he met the Taino were welcoming and peaceful. Columbus wrote in his journal, "They were very well built, with very handsome bodies and very good faces. They do not carry arms, or know them. They should be good servants." This quote reveals the devastating clash of worlds that was about to occur. For Columbus, the discovery wasn't a cultural exchange. It was a business transaction, and the indigenous people were an asset to be exploited. Columbus returned to Spain a hero. He presented gold, exotic plants, and several captured natives to the monarchs. The king and queen were overjoyed, immediately financing a massive second voyage. But the subsequent voyages and Columbus's tenure as governor of the new colony of Hispaniola reveal a grim truth. The quest for gold became a campaign of terror. The Taino people were brutally forced into slavery, compelled to deliver impossible quotas of gold dust. Those who failed were often mutilated or killed. Columbus's arrival brought not just men with guns, but diseases like smallpox and measles diseases the indigenous people had no immunity to. The combination of enslavement, violence, and disease resulted in a demographic catastrophe. Within a few decades, the entire Taino population was virtually wiped out. Columbus was a brilliant navigator, but a disastrous leader. His own men complained about his cruelty and mismanagement, leading to his eventual arrest and return to Spain in chains in 1500. He was stripped of his governorship, a disgraced figure even to the monarchs who had funded him. Christopher Columbus made 2 more voyages before his death in 1506. Still believing he had found a route to Asia, he died wealthy but professionally discredited. The legacy he left behind is profoundly complicated and deeply debated today. For centuries, he was celebrated as the heroic discoverer who launched the age of exploration, proving the courage and ingenuity of the West. His voyage unquestionably initiated the Columbian Exchange, fundamentally linking the Old and New Worlds, transforming global diets, trade, and culture. However, to billions of people, his legacy is one of colonization, genocide, and enslavement. His arrival marks not a moment of discovery, but a beginning of profound suffering. The story of Christopher Columbus is the story of the modern world itself, a tale of monumental bravery and vision, inextricably tied to a tragic, devastating destruction. He was the man who, through sheer force of will, navigated the oceans, but in doing so, created a division that defines our history to this very day. So how should we remember Christopher Columbus as a revolutionary explorer or a brutal colonizer? Let us know your thoughts on his complex legacy in the comments below. If this story made you think, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the figures who changed history.